So how is it plausible that everything Hollywood promotes is antithetical to the Bible? I mean, there's not like just one thing that they were like, yeah, that part's true. No, it's like they're anti-marriage, they're anti-life, they're pro-transgender, it's like literally, it's like someone read the Bible and then said it upside down, and they go, that's Hollywood.
See, I disagree, and the only reason because I've been in it, and as a person who's learned to attempt to walk and operate in a higher frequency, I've always said, or somebody taught me this, is like, yo, you can find the devil in anything, but you can see God in everything.
Show me God in Hollywood, please. Tell me right now. Oh, give it to me.
You can't see God in Hollywood?
It's tough with Nick because, you know, he's not operating according to the true spirit, which is the Holy Spirit. He's pursuing something else. He's into some mixture of religion, some new age stuff. So it's harder for him to be able to recognize the demonic activity in his own industry because his vision is cloudy. All right, y'all, Nick Cannon and Candace Owens had a conversation. You know what? This was actually a cool conversation. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think I was gonna see these two sit down together, but I'm glad I did because it was a cool conversation. But things got really interesting around the 25-minute mark. Honestly speaking, the whole interview is very intriguing, but this part just caught my attention specifically because they started talking about spiritual warfare. They started talking about Hollywood. They started talking about how Hollywood is intentionally against the Bible, and things got very, very interesting. I'm trying to expand my vocabulary, but for whatever reason, as soon as I turn the camera on, the only thing that comes out of my mouth is interesting. I got to read more books. Let's get into it.
In the current setting, like, again, how do you even manage to be a Democrat or a Republican? Like, you can't trust either side. And it's like, there's no such thing as, two parties. It's just one party with two names.
You're
one
right.
evil party.
And to be clear, I don't trust either party either.
Right.
I mean, that's very clear that it is one party and they just keep both sides warring with one another intentionally. But occasionally,
and democracy is an illusion.
Democracy is an illusion.
Yeah.
And occasionally you will see that one person falls through the cracks, and there are those people out there. This was the reason I supported Trump.
Right.
Because if Trump was a part of the club, they wouldn't have gone at him like that. They wouldn't try to lock him up. They wouldn't have tried to kill him. I mean, you know who's not in the in club, because all you have to do is see who the media is attacking. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like Thomas Massey is a congressman that I love. He's maybe the only a handful of congressmen that are not voting according to lobbying interests or blackmail interests as well. There's an entire blackmail ring that's running Hollywood and running DC as well. But that is the only way. Is you have to think through it, and you have to pause every single time the media is showing you something and they're in lockstep and you're about to have an emotional response, and actually ask yourself, and who benefits from this emotional response?
Can I offer something else up in that thing? Because I don't disagree, but I think we do start to lean a lot more, or at least we feed the conspiracy theory father when we start to, because I've done this myself, gotten canceled by speaking that there's elites that are trying to keep us down.
How could get canceled for common sense?
But I'll say this, in hindsight, you're a person of faith. Could we lean a little bit more into the space of this is, I think you even said, I believe, like Tucker Carlson made a great point when he's literally talking about spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
There are greater spiritual entities that are operating, that in utilizing, instead of, I would just say that they can utilize anyone. They can utilize the media. They can utilize government. These energies that are trying to tear down humanity. Could we offer that, opposed to just saying like there's this secret room of individuals sitting there and they have all the money in the world and they're trying to
control? But the thing is, it's like, first you have to call back and recognize that, and the way that you do that is learning real history, right? Really, like I said,
but that could have been spirituality throughout the whole time.
Well, it is ultimately, yes. Right. So that's what the first step I'm saying. I mean, this is like, you got to go. This is what will bring you back to the Bible. I mean, the first step of this is first understanding. You got to peel it back like an onion, right? So the first layer of this is realizing that everything that you're seeing, it's just not real, right? The media, it's not real. They're being controlled. It's all an illusion. Hollywood, they're being controlled. There's an agenda. There are people in Hollywood. I mean, how is it plausible that everything Hollywood promotes is antithetical to the Bible? I mean, there's not like just one thing that they were like, yeah, that part's true. No, it's like they're anti-marriage, they're anti-life, they're pro-transgender, it's like literally, it's like someone read the Bible and then said it upside down, and they go, that's Hollywood.
But this is my thing.
And if you are, say something biblical, or you are faithful in Hollywood, you'd be the first person to get canceled.
See, I disagree. And the only reason because I've been in it, and as a person who's learned to attempt to walk and operate in a higher frequency, I've always said, or somebody taught me this, is like, yo, you can find the devil in anything, but you can see God in everything.
Show me God in Hollywood, please. Tell me right now. Oh, give it to me.
You can't see God in Hollywood?
I literally see.
You can't, so you've never there's never been a film that has touched your soul so much that it actually enlightened you and inspired you.
Well, what you're give me an example, because then if you
Forrest Gump.
let me give you, Hollywood exists to make you believe that what you're watching.
It's to land of make-believe.
Yeah, it is a land of make-believe, but the problem is that people then think that is real. So you don't realize that there's an agenda. So you're watching a film, and I think years ago, right before the explosion of the trans agenda, which I'm adamantly opposed to, there was a film, and it won the Oscar for the first person that ever got transgendered surgery. Somebody help me here. Somebody knows this movie, no? None of y'all saw it. Yeah, I didn't watch it either. Anyways, it won an Oscar, and the guy who played the girl, or the girl who played the guy, came on stage and like did this whole speech. Literally right after, it was just like transgender everywhere.
But that's a beautiful story.
It's not a beautiful story, because this is the problem. Kids grow up, and TV is something that is impacting their psyche and their spirit. They don't realize it. You don't make that connection early on. You think you're watching stuff.
Unless they have parents that explain to them.
But that's the problem. They don't.
Right.
That's the problem. They don't.
So then that's the ultimate problem. Yes. It's not Hollywood that's the problem.
Well, Hollywood's a piece of it. So what I say is that what they've done quite brilliantly is they intentionally broke down the family, okay? Because
not Hollywood, you're saying the government.
The government, yeah, the government's, this is all government, just to be clear. Yeah. The government broke down the family because they knew that the youth would naturally aspire or seek out matriarchy and patriarchy elsewhere. So you don't have mom and dad at home. Who becomes mom and dad? Okay, you're the kid, you're listening to your, now I sound old, Walkman, walking down the street, you know. Right. Now you're like, oh, when I was growing up, like it's now mom and dad, and maybe it's Biggie, it's Pac, maybe it's now for another kid, who's like the hot new artist coming up now? I don't know, who would you say is like the hot new artist these days?
Yeah, Drake, Kendrick.
Whatever, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, whoever it is, you turn these people, suddenly, you're pursuing that patriarchy no matter what. So dad's not at home, you're not spending time with mom and dad, then you're getting pushed into the school system. So you're learning history a certain way, culture is impacting you a certain way. It's all related. It's not, these things are not separate.
Because that's life.
But that's not life. It was not life. It was not
we've
life.
always had influence from entertainers and people that we looked at.
Yeah, but not at this magnitude, not at this scale. We haven't been able to easily influence people, masses of people at this level at any point in history. Until right now, which is terrifying. And I respect what she's saying, and I hear what she's saying, because there is an agenda behind Hollywood. There is a spirit, an antichrist spirit behind Hollywood. And you can see that clear as day. Just look at the quote unquote art that they produce. And from Nick's standpoint, it's tough with Nick because, you know, he's not operating according to the true spirit, which is the Holy Spirit. He's pursuing something else. He's into some mixture of religion, some new age stuff. So it's harder for him to be able to recognize the demonic activity in his own industry because his vision is cloudy. And also, I think he just doesn't want to get canceled again, because I think he remembers the last time he got canceled, and now he's trying to choose his words.
Like the Shakespeare, like it's always, our philosophers were our entertainers. People were walking around quoting Plato and Aristotle.
Entertainment is a part of life. That's correct. Right. But what I mean by that is Hollywood is
about money.
It's not about money.
You think it's more than money? Because everything you're saying is
100%. I think there was an agenda.
It's for the dollar. It's not to really control minds.
There was no dollar. You're trying to tell me when you and I don't know how old you are, but we got to be around the same age, graduated high school, there were this many trans kids?
Yes. It's just now that there's an opportunity for them to be expressive and they're in a safe space now, because now they were probably struggling a little bit more, but the community has always been
that's an agenda. That's an agenda. And I think
so. What would
because it's interesting when you hear people that are speaking about that agenda, like Cat Williams came out and said that he knew it was going to be a thing. Then you start realizing like they go from a movie to suddenly trying to sell it to you by telling you, oh, this person's kid is non-binary. What are you talking about? These kids are not all confused about what gender they are. You're teaching them that. Kids don't think like this. What do you mean? What are you non-bound to? Why are you saying this? Well, you're being attacked in your psyche in the classroom. That's the ultimate
agenda.
Hollywood.
Like what is so within that agenda? What's being accomplished?
What do you mean what's being accomplished?
Like why would someone set an agenda to convince?
Well, in my viewpoint, when you look at all of the agendas, the one thing that they all have in common is they're an attack on the family. So if you examine history,
the nuclear family.
Yes, and if you examine history, anytime socialism, communism, obviously the most evil ideology that's ever existed, that has led to the death of 100 million people over the last 100 years. Once those communist regimes achieved power over the people, one of the first things they established was that you were not allowed to practice faith, and they would break down your family because the state wanted to become your family. They didn't want you to go to dad for advice or be sitting around with mom and dad at the table. We are your family now, right? You can read the book 1984. It kind of has this scene where it talks about how even children will tell on their parents if they're not abiding by the rules of the state. This is 1984, unfortunately, is now 2024. We saw this during COVID. And people are going to the government to, how should I live? I mean, during COVID, to me, was the ultimate. I thought they were flexing to really test how much power they had over, how much they had achieved, how much power they had via the media. Could we get people to just do, like, it was like a game of Evil Simon Says, 6 feet social distancing, wear a mask. People were doing things. I swear, if they had come out tomorrow and said, you have to hop on 1 foot to live, people would have been like jumping around grocery stores like that, because they wanted to test to see how quickly they could infiltrate the psyche and how people would abide and whether they would tell one another, which they did. People were calling on their neighbors. Like, I saw 2 people walk into the house. It's funny in the retrospect, but also scary in the retrospect. Right now, people are trying to walk back. They were telling on each other, trying to get people fired. You know, I saw this person at the grocery store supposed to go once a week. That, to me, was the ultimate flex of the arm of the state to see how much control they had over people.
Well, we have.
I agree. I think the ultimate agenda is to lead people away from God. I think that's the ultimate agenda. I think that's the ultimate agenda. Because the devil knows time is running out. The devil knows how this story is going to end. And he's trying to take as many people with him as possible. I think that's the ultimate agenda. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more wickedness in our face, without a mask, out in the open. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. Get in my comments. Like this video. I'm out, y'all.